Good morning everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Karen here and it is Friday morning of the school holidays and I've got a whole day ahead of me down here, which is really exciting. The flowers of the day from my garden are these beautiful roses and the lavender that I've managed not to kill. These roses are stunning. They're the No Surrender roses from Trelaw roses in Melbourne, so that always starts my day well when I've got some beautiful. So this morning, my last video, I'm going to flip you back down here. The last video that I did yesterday, I sewed all of the backing fabrics down onto the next panel of Home is Where the Heart Is. But today I'm not going to start on the next layer of that. Instead, I was having a look at my work last night and it's a bit flat. I don't have a lot of hangy-offy things, as I would call them, yet. So I'm going to make a few of those today. So I thought I would take you through the process. The first thing that I am going to put on my quilt is this little heart, which I made a little while ago. So it goes along with the theme perfectly. It's just a little recycled heart out of some calico and a whole heap of beautiful vintage treasures that I had. So I'm going to put a pin in the back of that and make that into a brooch to hang on my quilt. The next things I want to make is I want to make a little house brooch. I was thinking, home is where the heart is. The things that really stand out for me in that theme are, we see a little cottage, gardens, my dogs, cats, music. In my case, pianos and guitars are always in my house, and family. So I'm going to start today by making a little house pin to put on, and I'm also going to make a little dog one. So I'm making a sort of larger Labrador golden retriever to represent my dog. I just literally found a picture of a golden retriever on the internet and stuck my finger on my phone so it wouldn't get bigger or smaller and trace that to that size. So that's just lead pencil on a bit of this stuff you get from Spotlight. It's not that I want to make it realistic, but I want to be able to, people to be able to see what it's meant to be. So that's my little template that I'm going to use to make my dog. But I'm going to start with the house. So I just have a little stack of cardboard under my table here that I keep from boxes to make brooches. So I literally just sketched a little house shape on that. Can you see that? I'm trying to stop the glare with this here. But I don't have a lot of natural daylight down here, so I do have to keep my fluoros on or I can't see very well. So this little brooch, this little house is going to be my brooch. So I'm going to start by just cutting that out. Really straightforward, very naive. I'm just going to cut that a bit smaller. And that's it. So that's my little house shape. So I'm putting some cardboard in it so that it's stiff and that it hangs stiffly and I can take it off and on and it doesn't go all funny. So I'm going to choose a fabric that's going to go, it's going to be a couple of fabrics, one that's going to go behind this, like that, with the pin on it, and then the one that I'm actually going to stitch the house onto. So depending on how I make it, which is what I'm doing now. I found another one of these little 9 patches that I love from Taryn's 9-patch sew along that was left. So I'm going to start with that because that makes such a cute little house. So if you can imagine that being the bottom of the house, and then I just have pulled some bits and pieces out literally of the cut-offs here. I found that little guy, which I think goes really nicely here, like a roof, like something special in the roof. And then just thinking what I want to do to show the peak of the roof. I've got some offcuts of this fabric that I've had forever. So I'm just debating whether I want it to be there like that, which I quite like, or whether I want to use some of this offcut from the apron that I bought, which is the blue and white with the little white edging. That's quite cute. I think I prefer that one. So I'm going to stitch these things onto a square piece of fabric. I'll show you, and then it's easier to show you as I go. So I'm going to start with this guy. I'm going to stitch these on, and again, this is just raw edge stitching like everything else. I'm going to stitch you on and then stitch the top. So on the needle. And this guy will be a little brooch that pins on and comes off. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of room there. This is an offcut of a doily, a bit of a plain part out the middle, but it's really good quality linen. So it's heavy, it can handle a bit of stuff on top. So just really simple running stitch for this. So it feels like these holidays have been going forever, and yet, as they do too, they feel like they've gone by in a flash. I'm just going to pin that so it doesn't move around too much. I'm literally just going to stitch all the way around my little square. And if you wanted to do a decorative stitch here, you can, but I don't want it to look fussy. I just want it to look pretty much like my house, I guess, pretty down basic, but loved. Just making my stitches a little bit smaller than I would on my backing. I'm trying to use up, I always have on hand when I'm making my big quilts, any orphan blocks that I have hanging around or little pieces like this, because they just really look great when you repurpose them. And this gives that next layer of interest in it, you know, and another little point that catches your eye that you've got to kind of zoom in and see what is that. And look at that, so simple, all the way around. Should have started in the top, shouldn't I? Anyway, I'm going to do one more into the corner. I'm not going to tie off because this is going to be a piece of cardboard behind here. It's not going to fall off or get damaged. I'm literally just going to pop this little guy here like that in him. Might use one of my little tiny pins. Just a smaller piece. And again, I'm actually going to stitch all the way around the outside. Actually, I'm just going to see how much of that I see first. Okay, so I'm going to stitch. I'll draw a little lead pencil under there. And that cuts it off. It's really simple. And again, this is just an embroidery floss that I've got from Vinnie's, in one of my little boxes of goodies that I've picked up. You can always get creams and whites, I find. Colours I tend to have to buy, but I love to reuse something from someone else's stash that they've bought. So thank you everyone who's been visiting my channel. It's all a bit exciting. Even my 16-year-old son said, cool. So, you know, that's highest praise. I'm just going to go across the front here. I'm not trying to join them. I'm not worried about that looking like it joins. I want it to be very naive and everything visible. I love those little pins, but they're to use when you're used to big things. All right, pulling through to the back again. Now I'm going to pop on this. So this is an offcut of the big blue. Let me show you. Apron that I bought at Vinnie's a while ago. It's an apron. This is part of the edging that went all the way around the outside. So if you are going to op shops, always check aprons and serviettes because you can quite often reuse parts of them. I think I want my lace to the top. Just like, not quite. That, I think. Let's chuck a few pins in to secure. before I my fingers off and then push it all the way through. And look how cute he is. So I'm just going to cut you off there. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it or worrying about things. Just make fun things. This guy will have a little bit of wadding in him, so you can see a little bit of buckling there, but that won't matter because he's going to get a bit of wadding behind him on his little back board. Yeah, I'm actually just going to run along the edge here, I think. I want that little bit of blue to kind of hang loose. I don't want it sewn down. You can see that. I want this bit to lift up. Put those pins away as soon as I take them off or they get lost. Yes, I'm still using a big needle because I'm just terrible with small needles. Because I need to use a fairly thick cotton anyway, so a small needle wouldn't hold it. But it's doing the job. One, two, stabilize that. And again, I don't want it stitched down within an inch of its life because as it gets moved and lifted and folded and changed, and this quilt bits will lift up and be sticky uppy, which is exactly what I want. A bit overcast here today. I think it's the first overcast day we've had for a while. So look at that. That's my little house outline done. So at this point, I'm going to choose any further embellishment. You can embellish it more once it's on your little backboard, but it's just so much easier to do it now because you don't need to worry about seeing any stitching. So you can kind of just embellish freely. There we go. So that's him so far. Make sure I don't cut the wrong one off. And now, just having a think about whether I want to add some detail to a window or a door. I might look at just finding a little piece of fabric to pop on for a door, for example, just that. Quite like that. And I mean, you could go through your stash and try 17 things, but I think if you find something and you like it, I tend to just do it. Or else you never get anything done. Now, this is some of that lovely red I got yesterday, but I might use, I'm deciding whether to use red on that. Is that red? This red's just really red, which sounds silly, but it's just so very red. Maybe I want black on there. You can see how quick and easy that was. This is a smaller needle. I'm just now literally going to stitch around this door and then just do a little dot for the door handle. And again, it's just, you know, I guess if you're an artist, you would say an impressionist, you know, view. It's not realistic. It's just a very naive. And I will do a bit of back stitching here just because I want the door to be stitched all the way around. Cotton thread always does this, doesn't it? going a little bit because it's coming out of the fraying. So I've had this fabric forever. I can't even remember whose it is or where I got it. This bit looks fabulous. Used it on so many things. I'm deliberately making these wonky houses are us. So the hanging off bits are the best part for me. They're the part I really enjoy doing, and they're the truly whimsical bits that are just fabulous, really. I think I did on Nautica some fish, and I did a little folded embroidered map of treasure. It's just fun. Go across here because I may not successfully catch that, but I'll try down there. That's my door on, and I really don't want much more. Yeah, that kind of looks like a handle there, doesn't it? I might just do a cross one that way, make that the handle. I don't want a lot more detail on that because there we go. Look at that little guy, so easy. So now I'm going to tie him off, and I'll show you the next bit. Look. Okay, so he is very cute. So I'm just going to carefully cut around. Oh, I might actually fold him under. That might work. Let me think about that for a minute. I might actually save a bit of stitching on the side. Let's see. No, I don't like that. I'm going to cut. I'm just going to cut carefully around him, not cutting the stitching. And I want this lace to stick off the edge of the brooch. So I'm going to cut kind of under it like that. Again, careful not to cut the stitching. I've done that before. So there is the front of my little house brooch. Now what I usually find is I have to just trim this a little bit now. And yes, I'm using these scissors. Okay, don't panic. A bit off each side. So I can actually make the sides stick over. Perfect. Too easy now. All we're going to do is that on here. I'm going to give myself a bit of room on this to cut around. So I'm going to just do that. And it's wonky, and that's okay. And I'm just going to cut a little bit outside that so I've got room to stitch. I'm used to working on a timber top, but I'm going to collect all my rubbish. Good. So now I've got three pieces. I've got my little timber bit, got my cover, sorry, my cardboard bit, my front and my back. So all I'm going to do now is I'm literally going to stitch all the way around. And then when I get to the bottom, I'm going to shove some wadding up in there and then stitch it closed. Before I do that, I am going to stitch a little safety pin on the back because it's really hard to do once it's all together. Let me just find them. I did have some brooch pins and things, but you know, I'm just happy with these little black safety pins. They're as good as anything, and they're very easy to pop on and off. I'm just going to stitch that in the middle. There's no right or wrong side to that. I'm going to give that a pretty solid stitch with the black thread. I want the opening up it to be at the top, yes. Kind of just in the middle up a bit. Very easy. Just a matter of stitching him in place and checking it doesn't flip around, which is what it's just done. Like that. Once you've got one or two in, it gets a lot easier. Literally just stitching this on. I'm not trying to disguise anything. I like the stitches showing. The back of this, it's okay. It's handmade. No, mind that it looks handmade. I am just going to do one stitch down in the bottomy bit here, just to try and stop it sliding everywhere, which is what it does. So there, hang on. Do one. Much coffee today. And that will do me. So that's my safety pin on the back. And again, you won't see this bit, but I'm going to just touch one bit of it. Not because there will be a bit of pressure on this being pulled off and on. That's that. So now that's the back. This will go like this there. And then on the front all the way around. Let me just check where that is on here. I got room. I'm actually just going to trim a little bit off the bottom. See, I don't have a lot of room to go under. This is actually quite thick cardboard. It just happens to be what I have. I'm popping him back on. Yep, I've got a little bit of room all the way around. Just take one little bit more off that side, just a little bit more off this side. It's because this kind of goes in here and I don't want to have to use the blue to sew it down. Awesome. So that's there. Now what I'm going to do is actually stick a bit of glue on there just so it don't move all the time when I'm doing it. Just a bit of blue stick glue right in the squidgy middle. Just like that. I put my cottage on. How cute is that? So now what do I want to happen around the edges? Do I want it to disappear? I think so. So I'm just going to start with a use just this cream. Quite thick, which is what I need because there might be parts of the side where it kind of is actually holding it together. Try not to breathe into my microphone. My son said, "Stop breathing into your microphone." Sorry. Hopefully I'll get a bit better at this filming thing. So now that is ready to go. I'm going to cut that knot close to the end so I don't have a big sticky out bit to find later. And let's just start it and get going. So that's stuck on the back. I'm going to start underneath here. And literally when I say big fat stitches, what I'm doing. Actually that's wrong. Hold on, I want to actually put that stitch. I want my knot to be on the inside, so I need to just start the other way. Pull that off a bit. Don't do that when you're doing it. And start it again. So what I meant to do is actually start here so that your knot is going to be on the inside. Like I'm not that worried about the back, but I don't want knot sticking out on the back of my little thing. So now I'm just going to go all the way around, making sure I'm not pulling it too far over to one side. And just, again, running stitch, all fine. If you wanted to, you could just stitch, blanket stitch along the edge. I'm not the biggest fan of blanket stitching. You can just do a running stitch like I'm doing, but back stitch if you want to. I'm actually going to just work in the gaps that my other running stitch has left. Depending what else you're putting on these little brooches, if they're really heavy, then you might need to do some additional stitching. Making sure I'm not pulling it too far over at the back. There. And when it's finished, I might just trim away some of this little bit excess, or I might leave it, depends. I'll wait until it's finished before I make that decision. Slow down. Up to the corner now. If you're looking for a simple project to start with, just a really simple brooch like this is something to start with. Doesn't have to be a house, just a really simple shape. Use some scraps that you have. Don't give yourself too many rules. Enjoy it. I'm going to back stitch this bit. So I get in the right rhythm, because I was one stitch out there. I'm catching it all at the back. I'm just going to stop and hold a bit tighter. Just tightening my stitches as I go. Would you disappear to that one? And this one. I'm going to tighten that stitch before I move on. And under there. Stitched. There we go, done. Better. And I'm up to I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to along with my next running stitch there. Making sure my cardboard fits up into the top of this. And anytime you can pull the cardboard out and trim it too, that's the key, to insert it in a way that you can pull it in and out to the last minute. When I get to the top here, I'll stop and just check that we're all going to fit. And check that I've got some room in my overhang to sew. So I'm a bit short at the bottom. That will push in a bit more. So I might just actually take that out and just trim a tiny bit off the bottom. Here's now a kind of a mil off the bottom. Loads of room. Up and over the bendy bit. Yeah. Back in that rhythm of doing the alternate stitch to what's already there. So if you wanted to do this as a feature stitch, you can. I tend to sew things down first, and then if I want to do some sort of decorative stitch, I'll go back and do it. So then also if I want to do it, I only have to go through the top layer. I'm not relying on it for holding stuff in place. Here she comes. I'm just thinking what else I might add to this little brooch. I could hang something off the bottom, maybe a little watering can or a applique little pot at the front door, or put a little, see if I've got a little pot button, a little terracotta pot or something, button to put at the front door. I'm going to head down the hill. How cute he's looking. It actually was a lot further over here, so I probably will trim that a little bit just because it's looking a bit, I mean, I don't mind things being crooked, but it's a bit unbalanced for me. See that against that back. Okay. I haven't left a lot of room for wadding because I'm literally going to put just a little bit in. It's amazing how much wadding something takes actually. Alrighty, so I've made it down to the bottom corner. So that is well and truly stitched in place. I've got my pin on the back. I'll pin it on. I'm just going to stop. I'm leaving my needle there because obviously I still need to stitch along there. I am just going to, not that bit, I'm going to trim this little bit off here. I'm just going to trim down here a bit. See that bit. I want to do, I want to get in under there. Just trim you a bit, buddy. That's better. Okay. So that's where I am up to so far. It's got a door at the back, he's open at the bottom. So two things, I'm going to go and grab a bit of batting. So from over here in my batting box. Not batting, I'm actually going to use a bit of stuffing. Actually, now that I think about it, not batting. The stuffing should be underneath here. Okay. This is basic stuffing. I think I actually bought a cushion and pulled this out of it. I don't think I even bought this from a shop. And my very technical stuffing tool. Before I do that, I am going to have a look at my little... I'm going to move that over a bit so you can see. Look, these are buttons that I've put together that might be useful for this quilt. So I'm going to look for something that might just really complement this little guy. So maybe a pot. Got a pot, but he's pretty big. Maybe a little heart. Let's have a look. I had thought I had another pot, but I don't. None of those is exciting me. I need a little house on his roof. No, that's more of a birdhouse. No, nothing there that's exciting me. I could put a little watering can. Nope. All right, that's not working for me. So I might sew him up as he is with a view to keeping my eye out for a little pot button to put on there. I don't think I want a heart on there. I don't want it to stand out that much. I don't mind that, but it just looks a little bit country, a little bit 1980s to me. So I won't add a button. I couldn't find anything that I loved. I will probably put some thought of, hang on a minute, I just had a thought. Probably put some thought of, if I can find a little bit of embellishment from a doily. Have a look. Oh, what about you? Or what else have I got? What else do I have over here? Look in this little stash of things that have already been cut up. It's just a bit too big. This is why you've got to keep all your bits and pieces. Like even that little scrap would be perfect somewhere. Not hating that little guy. And then let me have a look at my stash of bits that have been cut off. How cute's that? Look. A lot of these are like these little conversation prints of cuts. Just see what's there. I want a bee on there. I don't want it tobogganist. I'm trying to resist the urge to put a rabbit there, I have to tell you. But I'm not putting a rabbit there. What about a little chicken, maybe? Or a little dog. That might work for me. Going past the rabbits. Look at that tiny little offcut. See, even that is useful. I've got a green one and I might even, oh, okay, found a few treasures here. I'm thinking windowsills for those. Okay. Sometimes you've got to dig to find your ideas with what you've got. So no buttons, but what I do have, I'll put this in the middle of this bit so hopefully you can see it. All right, so let's audition. I can put a little flower there. Cut him off a bit more. Big. Literally just put a little flower there like he's growing at the front door. Maybe. I could put this little guy. He lives there and he's guarding the house today. Just cutting him out the best I can. It's not perfect. He's very cute. Do I want this little guy? I don't mind the green and the green actually. That's why you got to keep every scrap, every single scrap. I don't think I want the, oh, maybe. It's funny how it's the littlest bits that take you the longest time. Okay, these are all maybes, so I don't mind just that little bunch of flowers. Nope, not big enough. So blue dog, green dog. I do have a weather vane on the top of one of the others, so I'm not going to do that. Do I want window sills? Actually, that's cute. I know I can get two out of it. Let's try. Hang him off the bottom a bit. Do they look like window boxes to you? That could be the plan. I didn't realise it was folded. I've got another piece. I cut that too short. I need that really fine. That's very cute. I like that. I'm going to make just the impression of a little window box on there. That's working for me now. Just needed something else, and that's not too much. Let's just see if I can do it with this one. No, I don't like that. I'm going to go to my stash of offcuts and see if I can find a little bit more of this, because that actually works really well. The backup. These are all the little bits. Nope. Try not to get distracted. All right, so I don't have enough of that. Move on. Let's try it with this one. Perch. I don't mind that. It's got a little bit of a curve too. Let's try cutting along here for a little bit. Not cutting it too small this time, like I just did. All right, you can go there. And sew it on before you think about it. You don't overthink it and do it again. So I'm going to sew that on from there. It's too long. So that you cut these little bits off at a little bit of an angle. It just seems to work a bit better. Just like that. Awesome. And then I think my little green dog, my little blue dog, he's too big. It's going to have to be a little bit. He's just going to be under there. Maybe he's not going to be there at all. I think I can have one or the other. I'm going with the dog. After all that, that's okay. That's how it works. I think I'm going with the little red dog. Yeah, I like that he is not square. He's different to everything else. So he's just going to be sewn on there. I'm going to get a smaller thread just because he's really fine and you can see he's fraying. So this is just a thinner thread so that it doesn't pull him apart completely when I try to stitch around him. I'm just going to stitch this down now before I put my stuffing in. And this needle is a little bit finer as well. Not a great deal, but enough to make a difference when it's something so small that's already a bit frayed. I could take it out of there, but I'm actually just going to work underneath. Through your foot, sorry. I'm just going to use the cardboard as a kind of a backing to guide my needle. I'll probably back stitch around him. Oops, shoot. Home is where my dog is. Slowly. Put a stitch there. A lot of room to get all the way around him. I'm going to pull straight up, not to the side, so I don't fray him too much. Go straight over to that little spot. He's going on there happily. A bit of more interest. I want to get right to that corner as much as I can, a little bit more. There we go. Well, I was holding my breath then, but and then I'm going to, yeah. Doesn't everyone need to spend their day making a little house brooch with a puppy dog? I'm just going to tie him off underneath here, like I would normally. A little bit up, and I don't want my doggy to fall off. I'm just going through the thread then rather than through the fabric. Okay, so he is on and lovely. I'll just cut these off so they don't stick out. So we've got one little house with puppy dog ready to go. And now all I'm going to do is shove a bit of my stuffing inside. Not too much. Shove him in. Amazing. Always amazes me how much of this goes in when you don't think it will hold very much. I don't want it to be bulky in the middle. I want it to be, you know, the same all the way across. So just I'm tempted to sew through that, but I'm not going to. Alright, so this bit I just cut this off because otherwise you're forever trying to get those end bits in, fold them in, fold them in. Very technical. You always seem to end up with a few sticky out bits. Alright, so now we're back to our original needle. See where we're up to on the back of this. Puppy dog there. And now it should just be a matter of stitching the bottom closed. Then I'm going to alternate with these stitches. See how that is. I don't want that to necessarily go through the door. See. And close nicely. Okay. Just do a couple little stitches in place and bury my knot. Alright, with my little scissors. I made a bit of a mess on my doily, but look, there he is. So the final little bit is going to be cut off a bit on the bottom that we don't want. There's always going to be threads. Threads are part of life with slow stitching. See, I don't want that bit hanging up there like that, so I'm just going to trim along there. And there is my little slow stitch house brooch to go on my quilt. I probably will add a bit more decorative stitching at some point, but I'll share that with you. At the moment, he can just be pinned on as he is. How cute. Super easy. Everyone can do that. Thanks for watching.